Hi everyone, it is Mickey here from A Pretty Talent, and I am back with a rather exciting journal notebook making video. And this is something that's actually been, I've been at it for a while because I've been mass making these, and I want to show you what to do and how to go about this. Now we'll only be making one on screen. But this is essentially what we are making. This little notebook journal is in the form of a cup with our little tea bag labels. We have a removable label here in the front, which with some writing space in the back. Let me just put it back here. Okay. Then you have something similar on the back, with again some writing space. And on the inside, now this is a book, I have to say this, that I have cut up, and I bought it at a second-hand store, and I was pulling out pages and cutting it up because I absolutely love the paper that this is on. It's such a sturdy paper, but I also love the color, the shapes, the writing on it. And the more I pulled out papers, the sadder I was that I hadn't read the book first. I actually think there's some real value in the book itself, and I'm on the lookout for another copy of this because I actually want to read it. But in any case, that aside, so I have these pages in here, in the front and in the back of the book again, of the little booklet. But I've also been using and incorporating this printout, which I bought on Etsy. It's by Sugar Pepper Press, and it's Christine Salinas is the designer. And I've been using these images, and so the theme of this printout is the fruit of the spirit. Now, what I've been doing is printing the images and then the background papers. Let me just do that. Printing these on the backs as well, so that when I cut this out, I don't have to do something with the back. Now, we will be stenciling some journaling space. This is from the printout. What I have been doing is backing it with eco-friendly, where did I put this? On this messy desk of mine. Here it is. Eco-friendly napkins. And this is another way of doing it. But anyways, so that's another option. I wanted to keep this. Knew he also predestined to be firstborn among many brethren. You know, if you know your Bible, you'll know. Oh my goodness, it's backward. You'll know that's a famous quote from Paul. But in any case, so some more stenciling. Then just normal. This is actually books of my learners. At the end of the year, they will leave a lot of their books and stuff that they don't collect, and I tear out the empty pages. And these are just the learner book that I've torn out the empty pages, and I cut it in the shape of the little notebook. Distressed it a bit with ink, a little bit of a frame, a little bit of stamping to make it a bit more interesting. And that's what our notebook essentially consists of. Here I created a pocket and another pocket, another little bit of journaling space, and that's what we are creating. So let me show you how to go about this. I'm going to put that one aside, but not too far away so I don't forget to do something. I have been preparing the die cuts off screen, and so this is what the die looks like. It has the shape of the mug. Let me just use this. Okay, that's your mug shape. Then it has this little shape, which I've cut this from. The little tea bags are these. Okay. And then it has a sentiment, best wishes. I did not cut the sentiment. So that's the die. And I actually cut 16 of these. So my cutting mat took quite a hammering. When you cut the same designs over and over and over, your cutting mat starts to show that imprint. Oh goodness, come on. Get back in the pocket. Okay. Any case, so it's cut. But what I then did was I kind of measured this distance here and cut squares from that book that I'd shown you, and just rounded the corners with my corner punch, which is, I'm sure, somewhere on the desk, but you've seen a corner punch. And then I took one of these and I simply, let me just find out how I did this the other way around. Okay. I simply traced the design for the papers and for this to cut the little booklet from in the shape, because I felt that my cutting plates had taken enough of hammering. I didn't want to carry on cutting with the die, and these are simple enough shapes to cut by hand. So that's what's been done beforehand. Now let's start putting this together. Now, first things first, we are going to ink the edges of our papers. And I'm going to use Autumn Leaves O2 ink. And what we do is literally just distress this a little bit. And I don't want to do too much. I'll do both sides though. This doesn't have to look too distressed and too inked and too whatever. Okay, so that's the first thing. Then we need to decide which of these papers we want to go on the front and which on the back. Actually, it doesn't matter too much to me. Tonight I'm leaning towards this one, so let me ink this one up. Oops. I'm kind of wondering if I shouldn't do both together. Maybe I should. The front and the back. Now I just need to make sure. Okay, yes, it's going to be this way around. Okay, let me first ink the inside. If I do this in a bit of a production line style, I think it'll save us a bit of time. But I also need you to understand that this is by no means a quick project. It might be a little booklet, but it's not exactly a quick project. You're going to have to set aside some time to do this. Now, granted, if you're not cutting 8 of these, 8 booklets at 16 shapes at once, then it should go a little bit faster than it's gone for me. That is also true. Now this is just scrapbooking paper that I've got left, and it's a bit of a thin one. I don't want to add too much bulk. Okay, so now that we've got that done, I don't actually like glue stick. I will use it. It dries quicker. Now you need to be careful that you do not glue down these little half circle cutouts, but you do need to glue down the edges. You see, that's why I don't like glue stick. You know, bugger it. It is not, it will never be a favorite ink of mine because, yeah, in my opinion, it doesn't work. We're just going to have to work with a wet glue. Okay, again, don't get glue there. Those flaps need to open. Now what I love about wet glue is that for a little bit of time you can reposition a paper, so you don't have to put it down exactly. With a glue stick you can reposition it forever because it just doesn't work. It's a bit of sarcasm on my side. I know there are people who swear by glue stick. I don't. I have not found a single brand in glue stick to be good. So if you know of one, you want to drop me that name in the comment, I would dearly love to find a dry glue that works. Okay, there we go. Now, there will be some warping because this is a water-based glue, but this is also water-based, so even this will warp a little bit for whatever it's worth. Okay, now before we continue, I think we should do our stenciling. Oh my goodness, I have so many aspects to this journal that the things are getting lost here. I'm just going to go with a wavy one. And so we are creating journaling lines here. Line it up properly. And I'm going to use, let me just do this. I'm going to use my black ink, this one. It's to just journal some lines, some journaling space, and this, I suppose, is not entirely necessary, but I like the idea of creating a little book in which we can actually do some writing. I like that. And I'm going to use this one. And so I'm just lining the side of the stencil up with the side of the mug, and then stenciling it. Okay, that's good. Right. Now, next step is to decorate these front covers. And for that, we have these two little paper cutouts. Now, the emptiest sides, well, these are both rather empty, honestly. Goodness, sure. Most of them have a bit of writing and stuff on it, and these just happen to not have the writing on them. So that's, I I don't know whether it's fortunate or unfortunate actually, because well, we like the writing. And I left my ink open. Oh goodness. Okay, so again we come in with the inking of the edges. And I'm going into the page maybe a little deeper than I need to, but I kind of like the color of this, so it doesn't bug me too much that I do that. Now if you want to, you can create lines on the back of these. I'm not going to. I don't think it's necessary. There are enough lined areas to write in that I don't feel a real need to add lines to this as well. This time let me remember to close the ink. Okay, so I'm going to make those two the backs. Okay. Right. So then we're going to decorate here. Now, what I did was to grab some of the shapes on this page. And just kind of look for what appeals to you. I don't necessarily want to use the same as last time, so let me what ones did I use last time? I used the cherries and the fruit basket. Okay, so I'm trying to avoid using the exact same thing again. This is a fresh printout because I wanted you to have the benefit of the fresh printout. So that I do kind of like the idea of the fruit basket, so I am going to repeat that. And the reason I like that is because, well, that's all the fruit, isn't it? Now, last time I used the smaller one, so let me use the larger one this time around. And now what's left to do is to really just quickly, and I mean quickly, fussy cut around this. Don't turn this into a mission. And can I say this? If you have a pair of sharp-nosed, tiny, small, sharp-nosed scissors, fussy cutting is so much quicker and easier than when you try to do it with large scissors like that. So if you're finding that your fussy cutting is taking forever and you're struggling, do take a look at your scissors. These little scissors are so maneuverable around these spaces. And I am making full benefit of this sort of colored area that the designer, what's their name? Oh, come on, I just said it. Christine Salinas has created around these images. So I don't have to go exactly on the edge. Now with this one, I will go more on the edge because it's a much simpler shape to cut. I can hear all sorts of messages coming through on my computer here next to me because I've got my phone on flight mode. And I actually don't think anybody would still be contacting me this time of night. But anyways, this goes to show you never can tell. One thing about my generation is we grew up without the constant need to adhere to the phone, and so I can wait. to respond. I am going to ink this up just because of that little white line that might be showing. I'm printing, well, I've printed on cardboard, and it's 160 gram cardboard, cardstock paper, so it has a bit of a thicker white line than you would have on printer paper. Okay, now we want to lay it something like that. Right, but I also want to come in with a little bit of fabric. Yeah, that'll be fine. Doesn't have to be a lot. I like that little bird's nest. But I'm not going to overthink this. These are my sharper scissors. I actually like that frayed edge. I was going to cut it off, and then I thought, no, I like that. Now, how do we want this? I think this one, I want more of that image to show, so I'm going to turn this about. So that one I kind of like that. And this one, maybe something like that. Now I also want to bring in one of these, oh well, I suppose two of these. Where are they? These sentiments. They can't be too wide. So maybe light and rooted. I like those two. So I'm just going to go for those. Okay. A little bit of inking. I'm not going to get too crazy on these. Right, and now rooted. This one says, the peace of God which surpasses all understanding will guard your hearts and your minds in Christ Jesus. So how about I move that slightly up and put the word rooted there. And with this one, I just go with light. Something like that. Do we want to do it differently? Maybe the other way around. Maybe the frayed end. Oh, come on. With our sentiment there. Yeah, I think shall I put the sentiment here? I might do the same thing here, actually. Oh yes, I like that better, even though it's very similar. I normally go for a little bit more of a differentiation. Okay, so What I then have is this set of cute stamps, and they're really tickets. Let's go with this transport one. And so before I stick anything down, I think what I would like to do is just ink this up, move this out of the way, and in this little spot here, not quite on it, running off, I'm going to stamp that and then wipe away that ink. Yes, that takes care of that little empty spot. And this one, pretty much the same thing, but let's be a little bit off the straight lines. We don't like too many straight lines in one spot. Right. Now we are about ready to start gluing this down. I'm going to have to glue this frayed edge to stop it from continuing fraying. It's still looking real pretty. Okay, something like that. This one we want hanging over, and it's gonna look pretty, but we haven't inked this side. Hang on, wrong side. Just a little bit of inking on that side. How far is it going to hang over? Around about there. And so we ink it up in that area. A little bit of leakage, not too much. This one, I'll show you what we do with that just now. Let's ink this one as well. Not ink, glue. And then, again, how much is going to, okay, so pretty much there. Let me quickly talk to you about what I've done in this little booklet while I'm waiting for that glue to just dry a little bit. I literally took my glue stick, because this is not a heavy paper, it's just napkin, and I glued the whole paper and then placed it on the open napkin, let it dry, which doesn't take a whole lot of time, and then simply cut it out. And that's how I created nice little backgrounds for these. I kind of like that idea as well, but I thought, let me use the background, okay, well, the background papers on these. Okay, so now 3D tape, and I've actually used up my dots, but there's still a lot of tape left on this. And again, instead of going for, because I've got lots of 3D tape, I could have gone for just more, but I wanted to show you how you can stretch your supplies a little bit if you use this leftover stuff. Because this is still 3D tape. And it has more than enough to do what you need it to do. There, like that. And the same for this one. I might even have more coverage with these leftovers than I would have had with the dots. And so, nothing is wasted. Or I can be very frugal. Ah, that is so skew. Let's just straighten it. There we go. Okay. Those are our two little cards that will go into the front. I'm not going to put them in now. I'm going to put them aside and they can dry somewhere on this messy desk. Right. Along with those two covers. Now, these. Let's get to these. We want to ink these. Yep, let's take them type by type. Why not? So again, I'm inking the edges. And on the other side as well. Again, it doesn't have to be quite so exaggerated as I'm making this out to be. It can really just be the absolute edges, or not at all, if that's not your thing. You know, there's no rule that says you've got to. Okay. Okay, so that's the inking of those two. I'm going to leave them be for the moment. Then I want to show you what I do with these. I pretty much do the same thing, but this time I don't like this stark white paper. So instead of leaving it be, I am going to distress this a little bit with my ink. And just literally cover it with ink. But I want to actually do a couple of different shades, of brown. And so I've got a couple of brown inks out, and I'm going to do this with all of them. But you know what I'm going to do? I'm going to save you from watching me do that with all of these. So let me do this one. Oh my goodness, this one's coming off so ugly, but that's okay. It is distressed, so whatever. And so you can see that you're going to have some different shades as you page through the little booklet. I'm going to just stop, do that off camera, continue this whole inking off camera, and then I'll be back to show you the rest of this. So see you just now. Okay, I am back. I have actually done a bit of prepping that I wanted to save you the repetition of. So here are the colors that I've used to distress my pages with. Autumn Leaves O2 ink, Rotting Wood O2 ink, and then from the Star Printing color, Bronze Brown, Coral Red, which is really a reddish brown, and Coffee Brown. And that's what I've been doing off screen. So I'm going to put those away now. Now, I then went ahead, and this is, I suppose, optional, but I think it gives it a bit of a more finished look, and I don't want you to overthink this. This is a very wobbly freehand border that I am drawing around each page. And I think it just finishes it, but in places where the pen doesn't take, I leave it. I don't go back and finish the line, because that's in line with the style. This kind of distressed style. Right. Now, you can go and do all sorts of things on this border. I'm not going to, and I didn't do it in the other one either. I think the project is lengthy enough not to do that. Now, after that, I've gone and stamped the images. But I left this one so that you can see what I've done here. And don't stamp all in the same place. I'm coming in with the ink black again. You want to stamp one here, one there, one there, one there, you know, all over on the edges, so that you have a bit of variety. Now, what I did do was to try and sort of stamp in the same place. Now, there's no rule that says you have to, but there's a bit of shadowing with this ink, and that masks it a little, although I'm not too concerned about the shadowing, because even that is part of the style. Okay, so that is what we do to prepare these pages, and trust me, it takes longer than you would imagine. Now, as far as these are concerned, I want that to be a writing spot, and I want that to be a writing spot. So, with that in mind, I am going to use this line and my black ink again. Ooh, there's a hair. Just get, oh, it's stuck in the, that's yucky. Okay. I'm just going to give it some weird and wonderful journaling space here. I like that. And this one, shall we be a little bit more sedate with this one? I don't have any way to line it up. Let me turn it over. And so I have not repeated any of the lines anywhere. And if repetition is your thing and you want to repeat, then go for it. But I kind of like the idea of this imperfection and creating the imperfection. Right, so that's that. Now, as far as these sides are concerned, we are going to be creating some pockets. And the pockets are, well, let's do a belly band and a pocket. Why don't we do that? Let me just see. Okay, well, first off, we want to cut out these shapes now. I'm not going to cut them too neatly, because I'm going to use my paper trimmer to do that for me. Do it on camera and you can at least see what I'm doing. Okay. So those are the ones that I want to use. And where are the others? Let me just find. These. He's also rather lovely. Now, if you're a journaler, you know that is still very usable, I should say. Let me leave it at that. So those are the papers we can include. I will also show you, yeah, well, okay. I'm thinking a million things and I can only do so much. So let me go with the peach. And let us not grow weary of doing good, for in due season we will reap if we do not give up. That's Galatians 6 verse 9. I'm going to go with this one. I'm going to use those scissors. I'm going to use the paper scissors. And that is what I'm going to use to create the belly band from. But the pocket I'm going to create from, sorry, you see that one will be too wide. So it will have to be one of these. And I'm going to go with the lemon. I think I would also like to show you this. Just an idea what you can do. So those are some of the elements in this fantastic printable. Not everything is going to be used here, but we will use what we can. And so now I'm going to fussy cut this a bit. I'm going to ink the edges, so not too much of a worry there. Not too much white. Oh dear. I had to go and pick the pineapple, didn't I? Anyways. Almost there. Okay, lovely. That is our pineapple. Now, let's go for this one as well. And I like these edges, so I'm trying to keep those. Now in the other one, I didn't have two writing spots on these pages, and so I created a third pocket. But in this one, I have two spaces for writing, and as I said, I want to concentrate on the writing aspect though. So this one I'm cutting closer to the edge than I did with the others, because this one is going to be the belly band, and it has to be a bit more precise and more exact. But fortunately, it is also the easier shape to cut, and so it shouldn't take too long. Now starting with these, because we will do them first and glue them so that they can start drying, so that by the time we want to insert our pages, our cards, then the glue will be dry already. Okay, so just a little bit of inking to get rid of the white and to just combine things a little bit more. Now this one I need to be a little bit more careful because I can turn over these leaves if I'm not careful enough. Bend them over. No, I don't want to do that. Okay. I'm not going to, am I going to, let me. I don't think it's entirely necessary, to be quite honest, so I'll just be very, very quick here. Okay. I'm not going to overthink that. Right. This one is actually a card, but these are the two that we want to work with. Now, I want, this says, "Ye brothers and sisters, sacrifice holy and pleasing to God. That must be conformed to the pattern of this word of mine, then you will be able to test what is God's perfect will." This is a lovely verse in the Bible. Now, because I like that verse, I want that to largely remain visible. This one, "My voice and opens the door." Okay, it's a pity, but I am going to lose that. Right, so here's what we are going to do. For this one, we take our glue and we only glue the absolute sides of this thing. Nothing more. And we put it in place, and that is our belly band. And our little tuck spot, belly band. Leave it to dry. This one, we are going to put our glue right there on the edge. Oops. And try not to turn it over and lose all of that glue. So let's glue it again. And now what's happened, where's my cloth? Is I've got glue here, which I need to get rid of. I don't want that to stick down. Mishaps are going to happen, aren't they? Okay. And now that one can dry. I want to just make 100% sure that it doesn't stick down there where I placed the glue wrongly. So I'm going to put my scissors in there just to keep the spot open. Right, now I'm going to grab my little paper trimmer. You know what I should do first before I do that? I know it's going to sound odd, but I need to start thinking about these. And so I think let's quickly glue these together as well, so that they can also start drying. This is why I would love a dry glue that actually works. Now, you get really fantastic glues elsewhere in the world. I'm not able to buy it at affordable prices in South Africa. But I have an idea for mixing my own, so keep watching this space. I just need to find acetate, actually. Acetate is what I'm looking for. Okay, anyways. I sound like such an alchemist. I'm not. Okay, here's what I'm going to do. My paper trimmer is better at this than I am, so that's why I prefer that wasn't a very accurate cut. Maybe now that I've got an even line. Okay. Right. Okay. Let's get rid of that mess. Now, those are not trimming just yet. Now, again, a very quick inking if you feel you have to. I don't actually feel that I have to with these, so I'm not inking up. I'm going rather through the motions, not really bothering. Because these are fine, and you can't actually see a white there. And even if you did, it matches with that side, so I'm okay with that. So there are our 3 little papers, and they will go into our belly band. And that's where they're going to live. And that's so cute, isn't it? A little bit of writing space, front and back. And that goes somewhere. I don't know where. We'll decide where we want that one. Let's put the belly band in front, I think. Okay. This one, we need to take the measurement of this. And it's quite a bit smaller than what these cards are. So we shall need to trim them down. I think I'm going to cut them apart. It's going to make it simpler for me to do this. I'm going to start by trimming them as close as possible. The height is not the issue. It is the width. Let's go with that. We're losing a little bit of the picture, but not too much. Now, will that fit? No. Hey, that's a pity. Okay, then we're going to come closer. Yep. That will fit. Okay, so now that we know that, we know we're basically working on that width. Let me start here. are close, but this one needs to come in a little bit more. Just a smidgen. There we go. And then this one. No, a little bit more. Right. And that's our 3 cards, and again you can ink them if you want to. I'm not going to bother. I'm going to toss all of that. And they go to live in our little pocket like that. No, they're going to extend past the page. That's okay. We're also going to tuck in this little guy here, and he's going to extend in any case. So maybe then I should do it that way. Yeah, okay. Okay, so that's our little parcel. Now we come in with our back cover and our front cover. And let me just tidy up here because I can't even find my instruments anymore. Okay, my crocodile wannabe gadget. I want to set the smaller hole, not very deep in, I don't know. These don't set very well. I think the crocodile is probably, the actual crocodile is actually better designed. I would hope at least, because for the price it's rather phenomenal. Okay, now you can measure if you want, but I'm going to eyeball it. Oh, there, it's already moved. I want one sort of in the center. Let me reset it again. And then towards the bottom and towards the top. Just 3 holes in a row. Okay. And I'm not going to set eyelets or anything like that. You could if you wanted to. I'm not going to. I have cut waxed thread beforehand. You don't have to use waxed thread. Oops, I've got a little embroidery needle here which I'm going to use. And I'm going to just thread the needle. Easiest thing in the world if the eye of the needle is that wide. In through the middle. If you can just line them up again. Good idea to keep them lined up. Okay, so the side that you start on is the side that you're going to end on. So if you want that in the front, which I actually do, then you start in the front. Otherwise, you start at the back, okay? And then up or down, doesn't matter. In the middle. Other way. In through the middle. Make sure everything is nice and tight. Now on this side, you come through the one end, through the other end, back through the middle, not through your yarn. Okay. Now you tie a knot and a double knot. And depending on what you're using, you might have to tie another knot with the waxed thread. 2 knots will be fine. Now I'm going to go in through the top. I'm going to go there. That's just looping at the back through the top. And what I want to do is to grab the top of this one, back through the top, again looping, sorry, let me show it in the camera, and back through the top and through that hole. Now, then I want to do what? I'm doing it slightly different from yesterday. I think like this. Take the needle out, double up your twine, you'll only have one end to go through. Okay, you're going to have to set the length of this now. Okay, back through the needle, widths, back through the hole, back through the center hole, not through the twine, okay. And again, finish with a double knot. I kind of like this. Now, why did I want my knot in the front? I like that rough idea. If you don't, then your knot shouldn't be in the front. Yeah, I kind of like that. I kind of like how that worked out. Now there's going to be a million ways in which you can attach that, and you can attach it loose from the binding. You don't have to attach it with a binding. That's going to be your own preference, your own choice. Probably you've got a better idea than I have. Last night I used one idea. Tonight I'm using another idea. Which one do I want in front? I want light in front. Okay. Put it in. Oh, come on, stay in there. Right. And put this one in. And that is our little booklet done. Now, how do you like that? A little tags. Come in, you've got your pages. All of that lovely, lovely journaling space. Some more tags, more journaling space, and another tag to finish everything off. And that's it. Where's the one I made last night? Here's the one, here's the other one. I hope you enjoyed this. And I did not concentrate on the Bible study. Maybe I should have. Tonight was more about the craft than the Bible study. And if I'd done the Bible study, that would have added more time to the video. But go do the Bible study. Go find these printables. They are lovely. And let me just tell you again who to look for. It is, I should have a name somewhere still. Here we go. Sugar Pepper Press, Christine Salinas, and it's on Etsy. It's not expensive. Any case, have an absolute ball, and I'll see you in the next video. Cheers, guys.